whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
Hello, and thank you for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show. It is a fabulous day. The rain is coming, but I'm so happy I live in California. We will, of course, talk about yesterday's Iowa caucus. Vivek, everyone's, shedding a tear for this dude that dropped out, which everyone saw coming. I mean, he could not drop out quicker and then kiss the butt of Donald Trump faster. But it went exactly the way that everyone thought it was going to go. I was kind of surprised that DeSantis squeaked it out, but we'll get your guys' take on that as well. You'll have to forgive me if I look a little odd. I can't see very well right now because I looked at a bright light, and so I can't really see the screen. And if anybody has a solution to this, that would be fabulous. I'm having a little bit of a vision difficulty right now. Good morning, Kim. How are you?
You're seeing stars? Is that what's happening?
It's like there's a blank spot in my vision. So it's
weird.
Blurry. Like, when you look at this, you're not supposed to look at the sun. I have a very bright light right here. And
You need to put some sunglasses on for a minute.
I glanced on it. Do you want to know how long it's been? Total tangent. You know how long it's been since I've owned sunglasses? Like 6 months.
Really?
I can't find.
Oh.
I mean, I have like cheapy ones like that I just throw on like really quickly, but I really don't wear. Can't find any that I like. So it's very hard for me to read the comments, Kim. So you're gonna be on comment duty until I give you the okay.
Right.
If I squeak one eye, such a nutcase. If I squint one eye, that's what I meant to say. I could kind of see. It's this eye. This is the eye that gives me problems. I'm sorry, people. Just venting over here. I'm having issues over here. All right. But before we get into the caucus, and I think it was Lori who was saying before the chat, she's like, I need to stop caring about this so much. I know it's hard, but I will tell you the one thing that's going to make you feel so much better. So look, just hang on. I've got the information to make you feel so good. But before we get to all that,
because I need it. I'm still shocked about how Iowa Republicans could have fallen for the shtick.
I know what you wanted to say. Okay, click the thumbs up button. Show your support for the show. The super chat is live, and I want to get to this because thank you to Steven, who gave us our first $5 super sticker today. You guys are great. I love the fact that you donate right before the show even starts. You're awesome. But yeah, the super chat's live. It's a way for you to donate. Just look for the $sign in the live chat box. And then, of course, the number one way you can support the show is to become a Medorable, as I love to call all of you guys, by being a monthly Patreon subscriber. If you have never subscribed to Patreon, they just charge you once a month. So think of the whole entire month and all the fun that we have on the show, and then leave us a tip for that. That would be so appreciated. If you like PayPal, if you don't even want to mess with Patreon, just go to paypal.com, hit the send button, and then put that email address in that you see on your screen, the Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com, the Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. The merch shop is up. There's all kinds of fun t-shirts. There's show t-shirts and hats and mugs and tumblers and all kinds of stuff and buttons. So you can go check it all out at the Nikki Medoro shop.com. Okay. Are you ready to feel better about the caucus?
Please.
Okay. So, nobody thought. You shouldn't have. I shouldn't have. Nobody thought that Trump was going to lose the Iowa caucus. It was kind of like who's going to come in second, right? I mean, he's kind of the front runner. I was listening to one analysis, and of course I think this was on, Morning Joe, and they had a guy on, and he was basically saying Trump is basically the incumbent when you think of something like Iowa. So Iowa went to Obama, and then in 2016 went to Trump, and then went to Trump again. And so Trump never had like a break, right? I mean, it's just been Trump. So it's not as if he went into an area in which he really had to win people over. Now, the caucus, it was freezing cold yesterday. Remember Trump said, even if you die later, just go out and caucus because he's just all heart. Turnout was extremely low, especially when you compare it to the record-setting 2016 caucus. Okay, so think about this. In Iowa, okay, only 110,000 Republicans caucused, okay? That represents less than 15% of the total number of registered Republicans in the state. Okay? 15%.
So
So
you're
while
saying you have to be really motivated, like, I don't
you
know,
had to be
in a,
MAGA.
in a
So
cult
Trump your ass
to
through
get
the
out there and
snow.
drive. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I see you.
You had to feed your dear leader's ego, right? You had to. Because you're MAGA. You're like, I'm going to show it. He's totally going to win. And you know what the sick part is? They're going to look at Iowa and be like, see, he totally should win the White House. They take these insignificant things, and it is insignificant. 15% of an entire state of Iowa, and 51% went to Trump. So that means 49%, obviously, they got divvied up between DeSantis and Nikki Haley and whatever. But I'm just saying, like, you got the majority of 15%. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not going to say that there needs to be a test to vote. Okay. Because idiots vote, smart people vote, everybody in between votes. MAGA is not fit to vote. These freaking people, just 3 in 10 of like huge Trump supporters say they believe Joe Biden was only 3 in 10 believe that he was legitimately elected. Only 3 in 10, 30%. Okay. 2/3 of these Republicans say even if Trump was convicted, he would still be fit to be president. They would rather have a convicted criminal. And think of the crimes that he would be convicted of. You know, not only what he does with his business, not only the sexual assaults, but like leading an insurrection, not upholding the literal Constitution he swore an oath to defend. Still fit to be president. So I'm just saying, like, the caucus in Iowa doesn't really mean anything. And remember my statistic from yesterday. The person who wins the Iowa caucus, the Republican, most often never makes it to the White House. Do you know that in 2016, right, when Trump won the first time, do you remember what place he got in Iowa? Anyone? Does anyone remember? Anyone remember? He came in third place in the Iowa caucus. So, and he ended up winning the White House. So these statistics matter. Like, and now I know that who knows, anything can happen in every single election. But what I'm saying is we can't underestimate Trump. I'm not saying that we have to come out in force, but to look at the Iowa caucus as if it means something to the chances of President Biden keeping the White House wouldn't be smart. Now, DeSantis, of course, will take the second place finish, which was extremely close with Nikki Haley. I would not say that Ron DeSantis ran away with second place. Him and Nikki Haley definitely neck and neck. And again, we're talking about the Iowa caucus here with an extremely low turnout. So DeSantis obviously was barely ahead of Nikki Haley. He's obviously going to stay in, unlike Vivek Ramaswamy, who dropped out, and so did Asa Hutchinson. I think Asa Hutchinson came in like 6th place. DeSantis says, obviously he has the super PAC supporting him, but his support has only gone down. He has not had a surge since he first announced. He topped out just shy of 30% of the vote amongst Republicans, of course, in June, and he's never gone higher than that. Now, Nikki Haley obviously is really hoping New Hampshire will bump it up. She said during her speech last night, "Tonight, I will be back in the great state of New Hampshire." She said the question before America is very clear. Do you want more of the same, or do you want a new generation of conservative leadership? Now, she does have a bit of a problem with moderates, those who said if Trump was convicted. These are the areas where Haley won. Moderates, those who said if Trump was convicted, he would not be fit to serve. Those with foreign policy as their top issue. I don't understand why any women would be on the list, but some obviously conservative women like Nikki Haley. Those that thought Biden was legitimately elected in 2020 but want to go conservative would likely go to Nikki Haley. Again, when we're talking about who we like and who we don't like for president, Nikki Haley scares me, like we were talking about yesterday, Kim, but I just don't see I just don't see why. Oh, and you're muted. Oh, there you are. I don't see why Nikki Haley couldn't beat Ron DeSantis in New Hampshire.
No. Yeah, and it was pretty close in Iowa. So if you're saying there was such a poor turnout,
15%
yeah.
people,
Yeah.
15%. You know, and these are the things, and you have to remember, I know this was a caucus, but you also have to keep in mind primaries. Primaries bring out those really engaged conservative Republican and liberal Democrats, right? I mean, they're in it. They want to choose the nominee, which everybody, and I say this every election that's like this, you want to be part of the primary, because if you're not, you can't bitch in the general that you don't like the candidates. Like, that's when they're chosen, right? You want to say on who the nominee is, then be engaged in your primary. But people are like, oh, it's not the general. It doesn't really matter. It does matter. It matters oh so very much. I'm not worried yet. Although I do think if I had to put my money on it, and if Trump doesn't get convicted, which I also think is a long shot, I think that there's definitely a case. I could see it being a Trump-Biden rematch. I just think, and maybe this is naive of me, that Trump really does still carry a lot of baggage. Obviously, the Democrats and the liberals are not voting for Donald Trump. But I do think that there are some conservatives that could be swayed if it's between Trump and Biden to be like, all right, I might not agree with everything that Biden does, but I'm not voting for this asshat. I just can't see it. I really, really can't. And maybe I am being naive. Maybe I just don't know, what I don't know. Vicky says the New York Times and others are proclaiming it was a landslide. That's misleading. This also bothers me, Vicky. It really, really does. A landslide with 15% of the voters, Republican voters in Iowa, isn't a landslide. It's just not. It's the majority of the votes that did come in, but it's not indicative, I would say, of where the country is going to go. I really, really don't. And we're talking about idiots sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I was mentioning, these MAGAs don't think that Joe Biden was legitimately elected, thinks that Trump's still president, except Trump's president, but they don't like where the country is going, even though he's president. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Another idiot that was making headlines yesterday during the caucusing was Lauren Boebert, who's just, she's missing a few up there. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert received a science lesson after she took part in the conservative winter playbook and conflated all of this cold snap that's everywhere except the Bay Area around the country. Boebert posted this weekend, you got to appreciate the irony of climate protesters trudging through a foot of snow and negative 30-degree wind chills to yell about how the planet is warming. They just don't see it, do they? She doesn't understand anything about climate change. People are like, the irony is you're misunderstanding of global warming. It's not that the earth is getting hotter. It's about the extreme weather patterns as the earth tries to adapt. I love people on X, Twitter, that are trying to explain climate change to a woman who is not in any way, shape, or form going to give a crap. But yeah, it's just this idea. It's just like, I forget the name of that lawmaker. If anybody knows, you win the prize for the day. Who was the Republican that brought the snowball onto like the House floor or something like that? And I was like, this isn't global warming. They don't understand. And yet people think that these people are qualified to run the country. You don't understand one of the most significant crises of our time, climate change.
Senator James Inhofe.
Thank you. You don't understand that. It's similar to understanding how a woman's body works, right? Yet we're going to legislate over it. Stop acting like an expert in things you don't understand. And they don't understand climate change. I don't understand why. I don't understand why Ron DeSantis doesn't see the intensity of hurricanes hitting his state of Florida and not understanding that much of it is human caused. It's because he doesn't want to go against business. There's no business if the planet is burning up. It just doesn't. I'm frustrated. I am a bit scared. We'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens in New Hampshire, where Nikki Haley goes. If Ron DeSantis keeps up in second place, That does scare me. I think Ron DeSantis is a frightening candidate for president. I really do. I think his whole, the banning of the books, the transgender in sports, all these kind of issues like this scare me because he's such a proponent of it and he's a moron. So those two things.
How is he worse than Trump?
Well, exactly. I mean, I think that I don't think that this is the difference between, I think, DeSantis and Trump. Trump, for some reason, has this mind control on people. Ron DeSantis is not, and I don't want to use the word charming because I don't find Trump charming, but because he was like kind of the celebrity first, people view him in a different light. Ron DeSantis is awkward as heck. Okay. Like the guy is not, he's not fun to watch. He says things and he smiles awkwardly and he does all these sorts of things. I don't think that he's a mini Trump. I don't think that he's charismatic. I don't think that he can get away with the same crap that Trump does. But I do think that he has an agenda that he wants to spread across the country. And that agenda is frightening, especially for women, for the LGBTQ community, for those that believe in the First Amendment, who don't want banning books, who don't want, these MAGA mothers in every school across the nation. That's the problem with Ron DeSantis. And I really hope that his campaign starts to fade away. Was I a little surprised that he got second place in Iowa? Kind of. Does it matter? Again, going back to what I started with, no, I really don't think that it matters. I really, really don't. I mean, you guys can, you can disagree with me. Eric says the entire GOP candidate list scares me. I don't want any of them in the White House. Well, obviously, but we need a nominee. So if we have to have a Republican nominee, who would you want it to be? And I don't want it to be Trump. I think that we can beat anybody else. And by we, I mean, obviously Biden. I think that he can. I think he could beat Trump again too. I just don't want him to be the nominee. I don't like what it says about what we allow in this country. I don't like what it says about what we allow for a candidate to run, even with all the baggage that he has. I want there to be an underlying highlighted period point on if you do X, Y, and Z, you don't even get to be the freaking nominee. Like you don't get to do that because if we allow him to be the nominee, that opens the door. It opens the door to so much other nonsense. And yes, I don't think that Ron DeSantis is as quote unquote charismatic as Trump, but what if there is a younger guy? And I know that Ron DeSantis is younger, again, not charismatic. A younger version of whatever, a celebrity even, because we seem to be so obsessed with the celebrity crap in this country. And while we might hate it, it's still freaking true. I would love to see Liz Cheney, Eric, just because I know that she would protect democracy, even though I don't agree with her platform. She's not running though. You know what I mean? She's not running. And would it have been nice for her to throw her hat in the race for it, given everything that she came out with? Possibly. We know the threats that a lot of Republicans have faced. I think that it's so true that these politicians are like, it's not worth it for me to go against Trump. And so I'm not going to risk my family. And that's, on one hand, I understand it. On the other hand, it's like, screw you. You're going to sell our democracy in our country because you're too chicken bleep to take on Trump. It's absolutely ridiculous. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens. I see a lot of you, and you were posting about this yesterday, the Project 2025. Again, I've read about it. This isn't something that's new. I think that under a Trump presidency and with his wackadoo Republican Party, it's become more frightening. It's a blueprint for where they want the country to go, what they want to eliminate, what they want to keep, what powers they want to change. I absolutely agree that it's frightening, their daydream of where they want this country to go. I do not. And again, I could be naive, but I believe in the American people. I believe that this country is so big that we're not all brainwashed in that BS. I really do. Fingers crossed. If Trump gets the White House again, then all bets are off. I will say that. If Trump gets the presidency, I really don't know what I would do. All right. You can continue to comment. Let's do some headlines, and then we will change things up a little bit. Some signs, some messaging that are big no-nos, both from cable television and from roadways. We'll talk about all of that. Again, you guys, click the thumbs up button, show your support for the show. And here's Kim with some headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Okay, first of all, my apologies, but it must be done. There it is. Yeah, he won. Former President Donald Trump, they say he's the big winner in Iowa, falling just one vote shy of coming out on top of all of Iowa's 99 counties yesterday. That's the first in the nation to have a caucus. Time-wise. So the former governor of South Carolina, Nikki Haley, defeated Trump in Johnson County by one single vote. Still ended up coming in third place behind Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Meanwhile, Vivek Ramaswamy is ending his campaign to be the 2024 Republican presidential candidate after his very poor showing yesterday. And Asa Hutchinson is also ending his run for the White House. He decided to drop out of the race after getting under 200 votes in yesterday's Iowa caucus. In a statement, Hutchinson said his message of being a principled Republican with experience and telling the truth about the current frontrunner did not sell in Iowa.
And I will say this. I think that Asa Hutchinson, if we're talking about sane Republicans, I did think that he was a sane Republican. Again, taking the platform and what he stands for and what he supports out of it. Another person who I think didn't, and qualified, yes, perhaps, but just has something between the ears, not brainwashed, but again, doesn't appeal to this era of a conservative voter. And it's sad.
It is sad. But yep, he's out as well. But here we go again with fresh off his win, the Iowa caucuses. Former President Trump is expected to be back in New York in a courtroom today for a defamation trial against E. Jean Carroll. She is the writer that he has been found civilly responsible for sexually abusing in the 1990s. And so now he's back in court. They're having another go around with damages and whatnot. The Republican presidential candidates, except for Trump, who will be in court, are now headed to New Hampshire. All attention turns. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, the first to arrive in the Granite State following the Iowa caucus. She came in third there, of course. There are two debates set to be held in New Hampshire, but Haley says she won't participate in either one of them unless Trump does too. Trump has yet to participate in any of the Republican presidential debates.
Do you think that's going to change? I mean, I don't think that he's going to put himself out there, but he does seem to be showing up to a lot of different court hearings that he doesn't need to be at. And if you guys don't know his MO, I think he's using it all as an excuse. Oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. At some point, I think he's going to have to. I mean, I would assume he would debate Biden if they were both the candidates, but shoot, I don't know if he'd even do that.
No, I think that's his whole campaign thing now. Campaigning by courthouse, campaigning by case.
Right.
Making that his point is, I'm being railroaded. This is a witch hunt, blah, 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 blah.
It's so stupid.
So that's his point. Show up at the courthouse, make his case again, get free press, and move on, right?
Exactly.
It's very cold. So cold. Plunging temperatures are gripping much of the nation, with winter weather responsible for at least 6 deaths so far. Around 150 million people were under a wind chill warning yesterday, with those numbers exceeding -40 in parts of Montana.
Can I show something real quick since you're talking about the weather? I was going to do it after your headline.
Yeah.
So yesterday, remember I was saying we had 2 Monday games, one Monday night, one Monday during the day. And it was the Bills game. And I just want to show you. So remember they hired people for like $20 an hour to shovel some of the seats out? Well, it didn't stop snowing.
You want me to take the picture down?
Oh yeah, take that picture down real quick. And then so this was yesterday. Now look at this. So people are showing up and they basically told, from what I understand, these are people's seats that they paid money to go see. They're like, just go and sit where you can find a seat. And so people are just walking. There was this one video, and I thought that was it, but it was a different one of a father, and it looks like his little kids just like trudging through to their seats, and they're just going to sit on the snow. No. I was just saying it might drizzle on Saturday. That's a no for me to be outside to watch a football game.
How many people went to that game? Dedicated. I wonder. Was there like no one?
That's a good question. I don't know what the turnout was. But it couldn't have been a lot. So yeah, they say the fans dug out the seats. I don't know what it is. This was yesterday. I don't think that they have it. But yeah, it was absolutely. Oh, here's another picture. Look at this one. I mean, again, you pay good money, and it's a big game. I mean, this determines whether or not you're going to continue. It's I don't know if you follow football, but with
Yeah.
playoffs, it's one and done, right? So you
Mhm.
have to basically be able to do it here. Let's show this one. Can I make that big? Let's see here. Here we go. Look at that. These are people going to their seats. The seats are covered.
Were they
They're like
told
just
to bring
move.
little shovels?
I think they knew. I think they knew. Let's see. What's the next one? Yeah. This is the guy with the kids. Here it is. Like, are you kidding me right now? It's like going snowboarding and just sitting on the hill for 4 hours. Like, no,
Wow.
thank you. No, thank you. It was just absolutely insane. And I feel for him because you want to go see your team,
What a
but yeah,
mess.
it's really, really cold. So just to put a fine point on it, bitterly cold around the United States right now.
Let's go to migrants. There's a curfew going into effect for migrants at some New York City centers. The city is implementing a curfew at 4 of its migrant centers starting tonight because city officials say migrants have to be inside the facilities by 11 p.m. and then stay there until 6 o'clock in the morning the next day. This comes after complaints that shelter residents have been going out at night, panhandling, and knocking on doors to ask for food, money, and clothes. So now they want people in. Can't go anywhere.
Yeah, and and I get it. You don't want to add to the problem that we're already facing with homeless Americans in the country,
Mm.
right? And Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, just kind of go back to the campaigning. They like been bad mouthing California. Ron DeSantis is like, if you're illegal and you go to California, you'll get free health care, which is not exactly true.
No.
We will take care of you. And again, I just want to throw back at them. Like, if there is somebody dying on the street, do you check their papers first before you help them, Nikki Haley? Ron DeSantis, that evangelical vote, what does that mean to you, right? And
Well,
so
of course, if you're in Texas, it means you let them drown.
apparently so. Yeah, exactly. Mother, children, doesn't matter. Just let them drown. They're not supposed to be here anyway. And if they hadn't come, they wouldn't have died. I swear that's
Wasn't it Governor Greg Abbott of Texas who said the only reason we're not shooting migrants is because the Biden administration with charges with murder? Thank God for that.
yeah.
If that's the only thing that's keeping you from openly killing human beings,
Oh, it's crazy.
honestly, we have such hatred and disrespect for people from other countries that are coming here because they're facing crisis
Yep.
or because they're looking for new opportunity, that you're willing to kill them or let them drown.
Yeah.
That becomes who we are as a people in America then. Does that characterize who you are, who I am?
Not me.
I'm mad about that. Okay. Congress is announcing a bipartisan deal to expand the child tax credit and create a series of tax breaks for businesses. The deal is between Missouri Republican Jason Smith and Oregon Democrat Ron Wyden. It ends months of negotiating. It'll enhance refundable child tax credits to try to provide relief to struggling families and those with multiple children. It will also raise the tax credits refundable to cap and adjust for inflation. In a statement, Smith said American families will benefit from this agreement that provides greater tax relief and creates jobs. Wyden said that 15 million kids from low-income families will be better off because of that deal.
That's good news.
Yeah. Uvalde, Texas. We all know what happened there. Now the Justice Department is expected to release its report on the police response to the shooting in Uvalde on Thursday. The DOJ officials notified Uvalde school officials about the upcoming release of the school board meeting Monday night, shortly after the shooting in May of 2022 that killed 19 students and 2 teachers. The DOJ announced its plan to conduct a review of how police handled this situation. The DOJ officials say the idea is identify lessons learned and best practices to help first responders deal with any future incidents. Elton John, he's achieved EGOT status. Yeah, he is now part of a very elite club of entertainers. The Rock and Roll Hall of Famer earned EGOT status at Monday night's primetime Emmy Awards. Disney Plus's live stream event, Elton John Live, Farewell from Dodger Stadium, won the Emmy for Best Live Variety Special. He becomes the 19th entertainer to win an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. Yeah, Elton John was not able to attend the ceremony due to a recent knee surgery, but he said in a statement he is incredibly humbled to be joining the unbelievably talented group of EGOT winners. How
Yeah, I
cool is
mean,
that?
he's amazing. I've only seen him once in my life. It was right after we got laid off from KGO. It was literally the following weekend. And I saw him at Levi Stadium. I am telling you, not that I had any doubt, but the guy, especially I saw him at it was the farewell tour. He is amazing on that
Mhm.
piano. My jaw was just open. I never like I remember, I
Mhm.
think I told this story. I was sitting next to an older gentleman. He had to be like my dad's age, right? And I was just blown away. And I'm like clapping, and I look over at him. He's like, "Really good, huh?" And I was like, "Oh my God." Yes. Like he could totally tell that I had never seen him live before. It was Elton John is a treasure. I wish I would have seen him in his younger days, but I was so happy that I've been able to see him. I was able to see him at least perform once. And yeah, he's amazing. He deserves it. Absolutely.
Hulk Hogan,
Ooh.
pro wrestler, being credited with rescuing a 17-year-old girl from a car crash just west of Tampa International Airport Sunday night. Based on a social media account, TMZ is reporting that Hulk Hogan was driving with his wife, Sky Daly, and a friend when they witnessed this wreck. The wrestler reportedly used a tool to cut through the airbag and help the driver,
Oh,
who was
wow.
not seriously injured, escape this car. Hulk Hogan, whose real name is Terry Bollea, lives in Pinellas County, not too far away. So,
Can you imagine
Hulk to the rescue.
if
I
you're in
feel
an
like I was in a
accident
movie. I'd be
and
like, "What
and this face comes in and it's Hulk freaking Hogan? You're like,
is
am I in a
happening?
movie? That has to be
I'm here to rescue you,
insane.
ma'am."
Yes, exactly. That's kind of cool. Good job.
Yeah. So, speaking of the Emmys, I will
Hmm.
show you a picture of Emmys because I know we've seen Emmys recently, but here they are again. Speaking of the Emmys, we have the winners. Succession took a
Yeah.
lot
What?
of the awards.
Well, and it also ended. They
Mm,
love to do that crap. You know what I mean? Like the show's over, and so they kind of give all these accolades to the show that's never going to come back. But it was a.
yeah.
You didn't? Did you watch Succession?
I didn't. Well, okay, so I watched the first 2.5 seasons maybe,
And then you just
and then
stopped?
so what happened is I would sit down to think, "Okay, I need to finish the show," and then I thought, "Do I really? This show is dark and, like, moody and
But it's a
depressing, and
comedy.
no one is a good person."
No, they're not.
I
They're
found this
terrible.
show dragging my soul down, and I decided I'm done.
Oh, no. I mean, it is I guess, yeah, you have to understand that this is an awful family that says awful things to each other and are awful to everybody. But if you take it as a comedy, it's really funny. And that's what I thought what I would do. I mean, the things people would say and do to each other were awful. Like, oh my God. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Shameless. Did you ever watch the show with
Yeah, I
William
didn't
H. Macy?
I didn't
Uh,
get very far in that into
Oh,
that one
I
either.
love
Yeah.
Shameless. But that's another one you're like, "Oh my God, these people are just terrible." Like
That one I
terrible,
found
terrible people.
I found the comedy in that one too, but
Oh, yeah, well, that's way more,
it
yeah.
was a little too crude for my taste.
I know, you're s I love that crap, you know me.
Yeah.
So I but Succession, the last season, I will tell you, and I mentioned this when he had won the Golden Globe, Kieran Culkin, Macaulay Culkin's younger son or younger brother,
Uh-huh.
amazing,
Yeah, he was.
amazing in the last season of Succession.
Mhm.
I am telling you, his his performance in the last season of Succession was so well done, and the the way he was able to carry the snark and the emotion, especially what was happening in that, I mean, it was just an amazing show. I will say that Succession ended beautifully. I loved how it ended. Shameless, on the other hand, not to do a spoiler alert, but it ended during COVID, and it was such a disappointment because they couldn't really all be together and do what they wanted to do. And I was very disappointed in the series finale of Shameless. I think they could have done so much more with the end of that show. And I don't know, when you love a show like that, I feel like it's kind of like most endings there's too much pressure to get it right, but Succession did it really well. So I thought it was good.
Well, Succession took home the trophy for Outstanding Drama Series. The Bear won the
Yeah.
Outstanding Comedy Series
I don't
award.
understand why Bear is considered a comedy, by the way. I mean, there's funny moments. I would never consider. I guess drama carries too much weight because I wouldn't say it's like the serious drama, but there's so much more heaviness in The Bear than comedy, I feel like. Does anybody agree that watches The Bear? I never understand why it's considered in the comedy section. I don't think that it's that funny. I don't. I mean, it's good. I like watching it. Do I say, oh, I want to laugh, and so I'm going to watch The Bear? No, thank you, Joanne. The Bear is not a comedy, but it's always in that category. It always has been. And it wins all of these awards and I don't think that's fair to true comedies. I don't. But whatever, that's just my opinion.
Well, The Daily Show with Trevor Noah won this year's Emmy for Outstanding Talk Show Series, even though he's technically no longer hosting that show. But I'm glad to see him get an award on the way out, you know?
They asked him, after you win an award, they do the press or whatever. And one of the reporters asked him, he's like, how do you feel about leaving this show in the middle of a very important presidential election where, our country's going to hell in a handbasket? And Trevor Noah said something to the effect of, I have more faith. I'm more of an optimist than you are. And you also have to remember, he wasn't born here. So I feel like that's what Trevor Noah did so well is while, yes, he lives in the United States, he also brings this outsider perspective to how Americans are, which was just so well done. Was he a Jon Stewart? No, I don't think he ever, for me personally, rose to the level of Jon Stewart. But I thought that Trevor Noah was a really good host of The Daily Show.
Oh, I thought he was great. And I love the perspective he brought being from South Africa.
Yeah, exactly. So
I thought that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Lastly, an award for this guy. This is me and Willie Brown.
Look at Willie Brown and Kim McAllister.
Yeah, the newest member of the California Hall of Fame include former Democratic Assembly Speaker Willie Brown Jr. Brown served as a speaker from 1980 to 1995, the first black man to hold that position. The trailblazer went on to become the mayor of San Francisco. He was, of course, succeeded by Governor Gavin Newsom. Governor Newsom now has the honor to welcome Brown into the Hall of Fame. He tells the Sacramento Bee, the newest class of the Hall of Fame will have an impact on the state and the nation for generations to come.
Yeah,
other honorees include filmmaker Ava DuVernay, punk band the Go-Go's. You think they're a punk band? I don't know.
Rock band, yeah.
Former Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta as well.
Yeah, and Los Lobos also was another musical addition to the Hall of Fame. So on Fridays, Willie Brown comes into KCBS, and so he was there when it was announced that he had the Hall of Fame. And I look at him, I'm like, congratulations, And he's like, and he's always a jokester, you know what I mean? Like, never really takes. He's like, oh, I paid enough for it, and da 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 da. So. Not that he did, but yeah, I think that he is a trailblazer, and he really is. Willie Brown is a really funny guy. So funny. Congratulations to him.
He didn't get where he was by not being kind to people and knowing how to press the flesh and being nice.
Oh yes, yeah. He still does, and he's, who he was partnered with, which I'm sure pisses him off to no end, is Cruz. So he was a big supporter of Cruz, and that didn't go very well.
He took a lot of money from them.
Yes, he was a big, he got that kind of sponsorship kind of stuff going. And I was like, not looking too good, Willie. But yeah, so, but good. Congratulations to all the Hall of Famers.
Awesome. This report is sponsored by you, which means we count on you to support the Nikki Medoro Show. Find us at theNikkiMedoroShow.com, theNikkiMedoroShow.com. The Patreon link is there. The PayPal link is there. I went there yesterday and I was kind of tooling around looking for the Nikki's list of favorite things. I did not find it on the website. I don't know where.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to have to tell our website person to put it up there.
I'm telling you.
I'll get right on that.
So I was looking for that there. I didn't see it. But there's a lot there, and all the ways to support the show are on there. Of course, the super
stickers. It's in the show notes as well, you guys. Also, I think unless I'm missing it, but I will double check. Okay.
And what was I going to say? Oh, the super chats and super stickers are open. So, yay for that. And we have to thank Steven for the $5 to get us right off the bat. And then Doug Koch as well.
Doug, thank you.
So thank you for that. And thank you for all the ways you guys support the show. I'm Kim McAllister. This is the Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, so let's talk about messaging. Okay, there was a decision I want your guys' take on, and then we'll get into a little more scandalous one. Okay, so the federal government has no sense of humor. Not that this should surprise you. But the U.S. Federal Highway Safety Administration has given all states across the country 2 years to make sure that this never happens on their watch. So if you're just listening and not watching, it's a highway sign. It says Santa is watching, drive sober. These will be no more by the year 2026. They do not want any overhead electronic signs with obscure meanings, references to pop culture, or those intended to be funny. They are going to be banned starting in 2026 because they feel that these signs can be misunderstood or distracting to drivers. I think that this is a big wah, wah, wah. Like, do you think that they're that distracting? I feel like they're not that distracting. It's no more reading that than accident at Highway 4. I mean, I don't understand the difference. Grady, you think that the sign should always be serious? I don't know.
So they have some of them that they were showing pictures of where people were trying to get creative with letters. So you would look at the sign, it would take you a second to figure out what they were trying to tell you.
Oh, I see what you're
Right.
saying. Yeah.
And that's annoying because it draws your attention over to the sign for too long.
So among those disappearing messages are use Yablinka in Massachusetts.
Right. And I see why that's funny, but it would take me a minute to go, what? The way it was spelled.
Not a whole minute. Not a whole minute.
Yeah.
2 seconds. And then another one says visiting the in-laws, slow down, get there late. That's in Ohio. Pennsylvania had one that says don't drive star-spangled hammered. New Jersey, hocus pocus, drive with focus. I thought that's kind of cute. And then Arizona said hands on the wheel, not your meal. Oh, well, I mean, everyone eats in their car. Arizona has more than 300 electronic signs above its highways. And for the last 7 years, the Department of Transportation there held a contest to find the funniest and most creative messages. Anyone could submit ideas. It drew more than 3,700 entries. The winners were seatbelts always pass a vibe check. And I'm just a sign asking drivers to use turn signals. I mean, I get what you're talking about being distracted. But at the same time, it also draws the attention to the message that you have, because similar to when you go on an airplane and the flight attendants are trying to give you the safety, if it's kind of boring, you're not paying attention. But if it's like, I don't know, Southwest always does this, right? Where it's kind of a rap or something funny, you start paying attention.
It's true.
You know,
do you want to pay attention when you're supposed to be driving? If something's funny, do you want to point over and then you're looking at it again and reading it twice with a family member or a friend in the car or whatever, or trying to take a picture of it because it gives you a little, chuckle.
Right.
I don't know. Or do you want it to just say slow down or right lane closed ahead? Or there's fog on the Golden Gate Bridge, or there's a crash inside the Waldo Tunnel.
I mean, that too. Yeah. Like, I want both. Can I have both? Can I have but if it's nothing important up the road, like there's no accident or lane closure or anything, if it's something that says Santa's watching, drive sober, I get it. Ricky's like, morons in cages don't need more distractions. I get it. I get it. And especially when it's nice out, right? Motorcyclists. I don't want somebody paying more attention to an overhead sign than their side view mirror to look for motorcyclists or other cars or things like that. Yes, 100%. SF Tesla says boring signs and road rage go together. I say, hey, a little humor goes a long way to lighten up the chore of driving.
Personally, I like the humor, but technically, if 1 extra second looking at a sign prevents someone from getting hurt because you didn't see a brake light tap on in front of you or what have you, then I think we have to just play it straight and narrow,
Katie says Amber Alerts include license numbers, they're vital messages, but a number takes some concentration. Comedy seems a silly thing to ban.
Yeah.
And I like that, Katie, that you brought up the Amber Alerts, because some people are saying even those messages have too much information necessarily because you're focused so much. My God, what is the license plate number? Like, that's hard. My trick with those is I make notice of the car and like the first 3 letters or the number and letters, right? Because I'm not going to remember 7. That's not going to happen. But if I can remember the first 3 and I happen to see, I don't know, a Mazda and the numbers and letters look familiar, I might pay attention to that. I don't know. It just seems lame. It just seems lame. And it's like, come on. But I get what you guys are saying. Maybe the messaging could be a distraction and can be dangerous. All right. Let's move on to a different type of message. This one, Kim McAllister sent me yesterday. And this is, and I think somebody else sent me. Calvin, you might have sent me this story as well. This is a text message. I'm going to preface the story by saying when I read it, I had one opinion. Okay. And then surprisingly, I asked my husband, I told my husband the story. And I said, do you think that this person was wrong? And he's like, yes, absolutely. And I was surprised by who he thought was in the wrong. So Chris Cuomo, he's found himself in all sorts of trouble. You know what I mean? And I get it that sometimes when you have found yourself in one scandal, all these other kind of, side scandals come out, right? Like, okay, oh my God.
Now we're looking for it.
Now we're looking for it. Now other people feel comfortable coming forward because you're already kind of, there's already a cut. Let's continue to cut, right? And I'm not defending Chris Cuomo. Let me just say this, hands down, I can give a rat's butt, okay? But there is an ex-CNN contributor by the name of Angela Rye. Now, apparently she was a regular guest on Cuomo Primetime. Okay, so I'm going to play you a little bit of this video, thanks to Page 6, of her explaining a part of this interaction that she had with Chris Cuomo. And then I want your guys' take on it, because I think I know Kim McAllister's opinion. Okay. My opinion's changed a little bit as I think about this more. And I really don't know where I land. I'm kind of muddled a little bit. Okay. And the reason I'm muddled, and I'll say this before I play it, is I don't feel like I have a full comprehension of the relationship between this Angela Rye person and Chris Cuomo. Okay. I want to know more about the relationship, and I'll explain it to you in just a moment. But first, here she is. I don't know. She's on some sort of podcast or something explaining what happened.
I began on New Year's Day when I posted a picture of myself looking forward to the new year in a gold sequin bikini on Instagram. Cuomo screenshot the image and said, "Happy New Year, tinsel crotch." Stunned, I read and reread the message a dozen times, trying to understand. If I somehow brought this on myself, since whatever you post on social is fair game, right? I teared up, like now, then the tears flowed. I felt like the safest place I had on a show on CNN had been compromised.
Okay, so that's her. And she went on a little bit longer. Hold on here. Let me just fast forward a little bit. Here we go.
Chris Cuomo was suddenly excited about a prominent regular role for me where I would check the left. Truthfully, I had my doubts on the genuine nature of this idea. Our on-air conversations and chemistry became something viewers look forward to. But Cuomo came up with this particular segment idea after a text exchange that went woefully wrong.
So I'm taking that to mean Chris Cuomo realized that she was offended, tried to kind of offer up this olive branch, as they say, like, oh, look, tinsel crotch. We can have this, interaction. We can have this regular segment together. I'm going to show you the picture. Okay. Are you ready? This is the picture that Angela Rye posted on Instagram for anybody to see. Okay. And that Chris Cuomo called her tinsel crotch. So there's the picture. Now, I brought this up to my husband and I said, if somebody sent you this picture and then you responded tinsel crotch, like Happy New Year, tinsel crotch, would the person that texted tinsel crotch be in the wrong? And to my surprise, and I don't know why I'm surprised, he said, yeah, Chris Cuomo's in the wrong. Like you can't say that to somebody. Okay. On the other hand, I can't stop laughing at it. And I know that this is so wrong, but tinsel crotch is funny. It's funny to say.
It is hilarious and true. She's got a bunch of sparkly dangly bits hanging from her lady area.
Yeah, it's kind of like I zoomed in. I can't zoom in on this, but it's like a fringe that's sequency or something like that.
And that's fine. And she looks amazing. And Happy New Year to her too. But why you got to get upset if somebody says something like that? Now, was it inappropriate? Did he cross a professional boundary? Probably yes. Yes, he did. However, Don't post a picture of yourself with tinsel hanging from your crotch and be upset when somebody says, Happy New Year, tinsel crotch. I mean, duh. And then the crying and the tears over it all. Honestly, come on. And then I was so upset because he said tinsel crotch, and I thought, what did I do? What, was it my fault? Yes, it was your fault.
That's
you
my
posted a
thing.
picture of tinsel hanging from your crotch. Who else's fault would it be?
Now let me just say this, okay? And again, and you guys know how I feel about you can wear whatever the F you want. I do. Now, again, similar to you could say whatever the hell you want. That doesn't mean you're free from consequences. Yeah. You could wear whatever you want and people are free to react the way they want to. That's it. You should have a tougher skin if you're going to show this much skin on a very, very public platform like Instagram. 1, 2. Can we just talk about the angle for a bit? I think that if the angle wasn't down and up, the crotch wouldn't have been said. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like his eyes, similar to
center.
All of our eyes, are kind of focused on the tinsel crotchy area because she has a camera down on the friggin' ground.
It's definitely a look at me picture. Look at me.
Yes.
Look how amazing I look. And yes, you do. You look amazing.
She does.
But
like hands down, looks amazing.
But you don't put your body on display and not expect that you're going to have some comments. Now, was it right for him to do that? Should he have maintained a professional distance from that? Yeah, that probably would have been the best thing. But I agree with comment was up there a minute ago. Yeah, it's funny, but you can't say that to a coworker. So, there is you maybe you're trying to be a little too familiar there with the person.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I want to know what kind of relationship. Now, Chris Cuomo, like she had mentioned, about a week later after she posted this and he said the tinsel crotch thing, Cuomo screenshot it and then a week later described Angela Rye as the darling of the network and was texting me about a segment idea he had for the primetime show. She said that following his New Year's text, he was excited. She had her doubts. And then she gave him, she said she didn't respond to his offer about the segment right away, but got back to him about a week later asking, quote, if he still wanted to discuss his work idea, despite him mentioning tinsel bikini and tinsel bottom along the way. And then right after that, in January 21st, the network said they were not renewing her contract. She claims CNN told her they'd be focusing more on COVID coverage and less on politics. So, of course, there's no smoking gun that this was the reason why. So is it fair for her to point to this? Now, if they had a familiar... Look, I don't think that Chris Cuomo should have called her tinsel crotch. I'm not saying that. I think that even if I was really good friends, like I'm trying to think of one of my good guy friends, right? I have a good guy friend.
If I called you tinsel crotch, would that be upsetting if you posted
this
picture?
Actually, I think I would be upset. I'd be like, oh, like I feel like tinsel crotch. Like if you would have been like, Happy New Year, sexy mama, that's one thing. But saying tinsel crotch makes me really.
Then you would have looked at the picture, and then you would have been like, oh my God, she's right. Right?
This is, again, I don't think that she thought through this photo. I really don't. I think that it looks like she's an Amazon. It's a great photo of her. I'm not knocking it. But her crotch is front and center. The bikini is tinsely, kind of, Amazon-like. Again, if you're going to post something on social media, and she says it, she's like, it's fair game, right? But she says it in a way of like, I can't believe people would criticize me. Sweetheart, it is 2023. Even if you were wearing all your clothes, people will find something to criticize because you're a public figure. It's crappy, but I cannot be the first person to be breaking that news to you. I mean, come on. Doesn't make it right. I'm not defending it. But I am saying that if you're going to post a crotch forward picture and somebody's mentioned said crotch, you can't be so surprised. And you sure as crap can't be crying on iHeartRadio about it. Like, I'm sorry.
Elise says tinsel crotch needs to be a drop.
I know, right? Happy New Year, tinsel crotch. I'm going to put it on a t-shirt.
And Doug is smart. He can appreciate the picture. Maybe even he might have joked about, whatever the tinsel was, but he wouldn't use that terminology. He wouldn't have said that because, at this point, you can get in trouble in the workplace or even in the public forum for saying anything, any little thing about anybody, right? Especially when you're criticizing a woman's body. And that wasn't necessarily a criticism. It was just a funny thing about the look of the bathing suit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like she's attention seeking. And she wants a little bit more attention because this happened a while ago, and now she wants to.
Yeah, it was 2020 to 2021. 2021 is when she found out they were not renewing her contract.
And
so,
she's still crying about it, honestly.
Yeah, she is. And again, I don't want to disparage the woman because she's allowed to believe that this step was taken for whatever.
No.
Because this is the thing as an outsider that I want to be careful about, is that we judge it just on the information we're being given. This is the picture. This is what was said, period. There could have been so much underlying body language, verbal language, whatever, that we're just not picking up on, that she's like, no. It's kind of like pornography or racism. You know it when you see it and you feel it, right? So it's like, I know what's going on here. I know what was said. Vicky says the picture is inappropriate. Again, it's her social media. If she wants to do it, knock yourself out. She's an amazing body. She's an attractive woman.
Totally.
I think that if she wants to do it, fine. But you cannot control how people react. And that's unfortunate.
If you want to keep things professional,
right,
and you want to keep it all on a professional level and have the world see you as the attorney and the political analyst you are, then perhaps don't post that picture.
So no tinsel bikini for you, Kim McAllister. I mean, as our news
I think it's great, but I'm also not offended by tinsel crotch. If I posted that picture and
John Daly texted you,
I would double over in laughter, and I would say that is the most hilarious thing. You are so right.
I can totally hear John Daly saying it too.
And then I would tell my husband, and he would laugh, and we would all get a big laugh out of it all because it's true. There's tinsel hanging from her crotch.
Exactly.
And I think that she had so much, I don't know, like weird texting or weird messages with him afterward. And I think she's an attorney, correct? So she probably would be like, sending these messages, and they're thinking, is she going to sue? No wonder they canceled her contract or didn't renew her for whatever. Yeah. Get rid of her. Absolutely. She's being weird about it all. Yeah.
Now, Rod, I love it. The tinsel is all I'm looking at. I can't help but not look at it. I'm gay. Right. Normally, I don't look at that area, but she is encouraging it. Exactly. Like, it is so crotch forward.
Rod, that's like hilarious.
If she would have lifted the camera and it would have been a straight on or even a straight down shot, like, I do not think that tinsel crotch would have been said. I mean, maybe because of the little fringe, but I don't think that that's all anybody would have been focusing on. This is a crotch. I love it. It's a crotch forward picture. It is.
So
she looks amazing.
If she'd posted a picture of her boobs spilling out of her top or her bikini,
right?
And he had said, "Oh, nice boobs," la 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 la, that we would have known was inappropriate because you don't comment on the actual physical attributes of someone. Yeah. This was a comment about the swimsuit itself. Tinsel crotch has to do with the swimsuit. It's a joke about the swimsuit, and that's funny because it is tinsel crotch.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
I'll never look at a fringy bathing suit the same way again.
I will say that, as someone who, I don't mind bikinis. I don't wear them all the time. I don't know if I would have such a flashy bikini, but if you're going to wear it and you're going to be that confident, then just go with it. I think the fact that Chris Cuomo has the sexual harassment, cloud over him, and the fact that, he used a derogatory term, like, would tinsel tits have been better? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think tinsel tits would have been better. No. But tinsel tinsel crotch is, it's just a little crasser, I feel like. You know what I mean?
Somebody is an attention seeker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric says Cuomo's had sexual harassment allegations against him before, and he should be self-aware enough to be very careful about what he says about people.
Yeah, exactly. And then tinsel crotch it is a very not nice thing to say. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to keep the picture up all show, but yeah, I don't think she has a case. I really don't. Unfortunately, I think that if you put pictures out there, you invite comments from people that are appropriate and inappropriate, nice people and mean people, and some people just find joy in criticizing people.
Kevin, agree. Thought it, but not said it. Or maybe said it to someone in your family, or said, doesn't this look like Ha
I
ha ha. Right. Tinsel
know. I
crotch. Yeah.
know. I mean, it's one of those things where it's a joke that you know is not appropriate and like not nice, but you say it anyway. It's the childness, in us. We're just like, you have to make fun of somebody. But Chris Cuomo should know better, especially, and somebody had mentioned earlier in the comments, the power dynamic, right? He has his own show. She's a contributor to said show. And now he's saying something. It was not an appropriate exchange from what we know about the relationship that they have. And that's something that he needs to keep in mind.
Heather says, if one of my friends commented that on my photo, it'd be fine or funny. But if one of my coworkers or colleagues did it, that would be gross.
And I don't know if they're that good of friends. Obviously, they're not.
Yeah.
The fact that she's like, I read it a dozen times and started crying. And it was a text message. He didn't post it on social media, which would have been even 10 million times worse. If Chris Cuomo was in the comments of the picture and was like, Happy New Year's, tinsel crotch, that would have been humiliating. And then I would have been like, oh, hands down. But the fact that he screenshotted it and then privately messaged her, I think it was an abuse of power, because obviously there's a mismatched power dynamic since he hosts the show, and maybe a misreading of the relationship that they had. Maybe he thought they were better friends than they are, because she obviously
you got to
not.
know your relationship and keep it in check a little bit. And I would say probably err over on the side of caution, right? Be overly cautious, because
Just
you don't know.
The camera a bit, though. I'm telling you. I mean, the down and up photo never really serves. Even though she looks amazing in that picture, I'm not going to say that. Usually, you go top down or straight across. You don't do crotch forward. Is just not the way to go.
It was a good picture, though. I mean, it was a great picture. It's a picture that maybe you slip into a card for your husband.
Exactly. A boudoir photo. You know what I mean? So,
or maybe if you're the kind of person, listen, we talked about her before. There's a mom, and every picture she posts on Facebook is her. I know where the freckles on her boobs are now. It's always like, woo! There's always, and her tummy is always showing. It's like, why do you feel the need, and even in cold weather,
like that,
to show your boobs and your belly all over Facebook? But hey, this is what makes her feel good about herself. This is her deal. So I keep my comments to myself. Don't say a word, even though it's like, here she goes again. There's the freckle again. I don't need to see it all, but that's how it makes her feel good about herself.
Your husband, like your husband knows how you feel about the tits, right?
My daughter knows how I feel about it. Like, there she goes again. I'm like, don't be like that.
There are women, and again, I always have to say this over and over. Wear whatever the hell you want to wear.
Right.
But absolutely. You can't control how other people feel. So Kim's noticing that you're showing your belly in 0 degree weather. Like, why the hell are you doing this? Right. I'm noticing too. People judge whether they like it or not. They judge instantly with their eyes, and the gays do. That's true. Rod, that's why you probably like it.
You're just drawn to it because it was sparkly, Rod. Don't worry. Everything's still so okay.
Funny. That is so funny. But yeah, so I think that, and again, Chris Cuomo's already found himself in trouble. I don't know what this is going to do for this chick's career. It got her on our show, and it's going to give her a couple of interviews, but I don't think it's going to go very far, unfortunately. I think that she's wasting her time trying to call out Chris Cuomo for something that happened all the way back in 2021, which was just a crass joke.
Not upset over just a crass joke, really?
No, it is.
I mean, it's not like he grabbed your ass or told you couldn't do the show unless you slept with them. I mean, we're talking like there's sexual harassment. And okay, should he have made the comment? No, he shouldn't. But you know what? It's not a crying offense.
Right. It's not. And again, she's an attractive woman. Just lean into it, I guess, a little bit if that's what you want to do. Okay, let's switch gears. Talking about something a little more serious than tinsel crotch. I saw this morning. And I don't know what.
It just made me laugh. Someone saying that this should be a drop. Apparently, I said, "Oh, nice boobs."
They were nice. They were nice. Okay. Let's move away from the tinsel. Let's try to cleanse our minds now.
Can we though? How can we?
I know. Honestly. How can we?
Yeah.
So the issues in Oakland. If you missed my conversation with a former Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf, it's up. I pulled the segment. It's up on my YouTube channel. But Oakland's gotten it in the shorts. I was watching Dave Chappelle's out with a new Netflix series. I swear to God, this guy, I don't know how many Netflix specials he has to do for Netflix, but he has another one. And he was making a joke about Baltimore, because Baltimore, obviously, it's a huge crime area and things like that. And he's all, Baltimore's so bad that Tupac moved, back in the day, Tupac moved to Oakland for a better life, right? That was kind of the joke, right?
Yeah.
And Oakland's had this reputation. I mean, it's the East Bay, right? It's not San Francisco. Now I remember when my numerous friends I know live in Oakland, and when it was kind of on the up and up, remember, it was getting gentrified, the rents and the housing prices were going up, and they still are in general. But there's been a lot of negative headlines, and one of the biggest negative headlines has to do with the fact that crimes are not being solved, and it's been almost a year to the day, almost, that they haven't had a permanent police chief. LaRon Armstrong was fired pretty much a year ago, right, by Mayor Sheng Tao. Now, Armstrong, son of Oakland, right, born and raised in Oakland. Libby Schaaf, former mayor, huge fan of LaRon Armstrong. I'm going to play a little bit of this report because I want you to tell me, it's been a year under the Sheng Tao mayor, right, term, and she has refused the candidates for a police chief. Now, whose fault is that? As you watch this, whose fault is it? Is it the mayor's, or is the fact that the rules state that this police commission, made up of citizens, right, needs to decide? Here we go.
You'll recall it's been about a year since Mayor Sheng Tao put former police chief LaRon Armstrong on leave before she fired him a month later. Under the Oakland City Charter, members of the police commission have the responsibility of finding and selecting new candidates for that position. They turn that slate of candidates over to the mayor, and the mayor can only choose from the candidates the commission selects. Now, last month, Mayor Sheng Tao rejected all 3 candidates the commission gave her, and that short list had included former chief LaRon Armstrong, which Mayor Tao fired, as we said last year, and said she would not hire again. The mayor's office and the commission then accused each other of playing politics and all this. And now the mayor says the commission really shouldn't be involved in the police chief hiring process at all.
Elected officials, we're the ones who hold the accountability to the people. And so it shouldn't be a, non-paid citizen advisory board that chooses who the police chief is. It really should be the CEO of a city, and that is the mayor.
Now, changing the process would require Oakland voters approve a change in the city charter by ballot measure. That's not something that would appear on a ballot for the next election in March. That's way too soon. Instead, the mayor says she is talking with other stakeholders and considering this idea in the long-term future. Now, the police commission says that after the mayor rejected their 3 candidates, including LaRon Armstrong, last month, they had to go back to square one and start the interview and selection process all over again. They say it's going to take them several months to come up with a new slate of candidates for the police chief position. So it doesn't look like Oakland's going to get a new police chief anytime soon.
I don't understand this. If I lived in the city of Oakland, I would be pissed.
Yep.
Pissed off. Are you freaking kidding me, Tao? Like, again, she's not going to get the power to do the police chief anyway. But I remember talking with the head of the police officers association. They were stoked that a list was finally given to Tao, that they're finally going to have a police chief, that they're finally going to be able to make these changes. And then she refused everybody on the list.
And now she's getting power hungry. She doesn't want any input. She just wants to be the one to pick.
You're the one that needs to pick from the list that the police commission gave you. And I understand that she wants to make a good choice. I still think that the LaRon Armstrong refusal is more personal than anything else. I really, really do. And I just feel like she is sacrificing the safety, not only the safety of people that live in Oakland, but also delaying the reforms and what needs to happen within the Oakland Police Department so it can move forward. Everything is being pushed back because there is no leader. They need a leader. They need to come together. They need to have, a united front. They need to do all of these sorts of things. And I just don't understand why Tao thinks we can go even more months without a permanent police chief. You need to have a police chief. It's been a friggin' year, woman. Like, are you insane? Insane. Residents are calling for a state of emergency in your city. And you look at a list of potential, and I would argue qualified. I don't know the list. They wouldn't give the names. We do know that LaRon Armstrong was on it. Okay. Which is qualified to be police chief, by the way. Now, I'm not saying it had to be him, but you're going to refuse everybody? Are you freaking kidding me?
It takes a long time to put that list together because they have to vet everybody. They have to
Right.
hire often outside agencies, and
Money,
it costs
money,
a lot of
money.
money to put those lists together. So for her to just go, no, 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 I'm the one that gets to choose. I'm the one that gets to put the list together. I'm the one. I'm me. First of all, you should want input from other officials in the city of Oakland. You should surround yourself with people that are knowledgeable and that can help
Exactly.
you do these things, right? It's never just a one person show.
No.
And so I feel like that whole statement that we just saw was very out of touch.
Yeah, exactly. And again, she hasn't been able to find unless she has someone in her mind that hasn't made the list. That's the only other thing I can think of. Like they gave her a list and like that this
Or
one person I don't want.
she probably did say, I'd like you to consider this person. And maybe they looked into that person and vetted that person and thought there's
No.
too much going on here. So that person didn't make the list. And now she's pissy over it.
Exactly.
You know?
Mindy says, I liked Armstrong, so sad he was fired.
True.
Donald says, if the candidates are not worthy in her opinion, that's her job. What I want to know, and maybe she's kind of, obviously she wants to be able to work with the person, right? She wants to make sure that they're going to support the reforms within the police department that she wants. I understand that. But are you telling me that none of the candidates even came close to you thinking they could do the job, so much so that you want to go another, I don't know, who knows? It could be another friggin' year for all we know, without a permanent police chief at the same time as your city facing the crime problem that it is? I mean, it blows my mind. It absolutely does. Doug says Shangtao seems pretty intelligent to me. She has the challenge of taking on a very hard job. I agree with you, Doug. And I'm not saying she's stupid. What I am saying is she is failing in this instance to read the friggin' room. We need a police chief. You should be reaching out. If people keep saying, for instance, if I am the leader of this group, right? And this is the city, and the city is looking at me and saying, we like, and I'm just going to use Armstrong as an example. We like Laurent Armstrong. And you're like, well, I kind of had problems with him. I fired him for this reason. And then that reason was found not to hold up in court. Okay. We need to erase that. We need to put our ego aside, look at the list and be like, okay, this guy has the experience. The department likes him, right? From everything we've read, the rank and file like Armstrong. Citizens largely, I'm sure not everybody, largely like Armstrong. And we're in the middle of a crisis. Why don't I, put it on? I can still fire him whenever I want to. It's not as if she can't do it again. It's not as if she can't put Armstrong in, see if he makes any headway. And then if it's not, then it's not. But the other option is to not have a permanent police chief, not any leadership within a department, knowing the fact of the divisions that are happening between the community and police departments, not just in Oakland, but across the country. We need to start healing. We need to start coming together. And you're delaying that for what? She has not been clear enough for my liking on why she keeps denying candidates for police chief. Mindy asks, is she doing anything productive about solving crime and problems in Oakland? Well, I mean, obviously,
Seemed like it.
I will add a little asterisk. Change can happen slowly, especially when we're dealing with crime. Do I think that she is sending the message, we want the police out there, this, that, and the other? Yes. So you're looking at your police department as mayor and saying, you have to go after the thieves, the burglars, the car break-ins, those sorts of things. But do that without a leader. Do that without a clear vision, right? I mean, the police chief is not just a talking head. No. They send a message. They create the attitude within a department. You don't have that, Tal. You do not have that. And I don't believe that the police department wants to follow you.
No.
You're not giving them their leader. You're not doing the basic decision-making that they need you to do. You keep kicking the damn can down the road. Meanwhile, Oakland is continuing to live up to a very negative reputation of not being safe. And you can't have it both ways. You can't say, we believe our police department is making the needed changes to reduce crime in the city, and at the same time not give them the leader that they so desperately need. I just don't understand how she can continue to do this. Gordon, why does the commission have the right to pick the chief? Because that's how they do it. That's how they do it. I mean, I believe this was one of the reforms that needed to be made all the way back, decades of the reforms that the Oakland Police Department needed to make, is that they needed it to include this police commission in the choosing of a police chief. Now, that's just the way it is. If you want to change it, like they mentioned in the news report, you need to make it a ballot initiative, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. That's kicking it even further down the road.
Yeah.
SJ Lola, I've said this before. I think she means well, but is completely out of her element. These are deadly, serious problems. Absolutely. I don't know what the answer is, because again, she dismissed or she refused all of the list. So it is going to be kicked down. And I don't live in Oakland. I have no skin in the game as far as her reelection. But if these are the results that we're going to be possibly voting on, she would not have my vote. She would not have my vote. And I hate saying that, because again, I don't live in Oakland and those sorts of things. And yes, I understand some people hate and some people love ranked choice. The thing I like about ranked choice is that it requires candidates to appeal to different voters, right? Not just their block. So I do like it in that instance, but I do understand why people think that it's not quote unquote fair or the way that it should be done. I understand that. Let's see what else. Chris says solving crime would make the real estate prices increase before our friends can buy them up at a discount. The only reason why I wanted to read that comment, Chris, is that is a mentality that I have heard so many times from people. Like, well, we have a housing shortage. We have a housing price problem. Let's make the area dangerous, right? And it'll keep the housing prices in check. That's not happening in Oakland. It's not happening anywhere in the Bay Area. I don't care what you say. It is always going to be unaffordable. At least at this point, something even more tragic than COVID happens. Even during COVID, the damn prices didn't go down. I really don't think crime will stop people from wanting to buy here. The next mayoral race is when?
I don't know, but I think she gets voted out.
Mayor, it's not 2026, is it? It's not this year though. So, race. Yeah, I think it's 2026. I believe it is. Oakland, Oakland mayor. Yeah, I think it's 2026. So she has time. I don't think it's this year. Again, I'm not the mayor. You guys can let me know. Yeah, I think it's 2026. Okay. Not soon enough, OCB says. So I don't know. I mean, and I feel for Armstrong. Again, he wasn't able to be a police chief for very long. Also, it seemed like she did not like him from the get-go. It wasn't her choice and those sorts of things. So whether it is ego or something else, I don't know. But my prayers for people in Oakland, because I would be pissed. Exactly. I feel for the citizens of Oakland. All right.
I'm not only pissed, but just after hearing that, kind of scared about having such a what seems to me to be a power hungry mayor.
Yeah. I mean, she is the mayor. You know what I mean? Like, she is the mayor. That comes with certain, that does come with certain powers.
Yeah. You know what it also comes with? A need to build consensus and relationships with people.
Thank you.
You're not doing that. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah. And again, the fact that the number one job, I would say, whether you're president or mayor, whatever, is the safety of the citizens. And while she can talk till she's blue in the face about wanting to reduce crime, the fact that she is denied a list that took so much time to create of potential permanent police chiefs shows me she does not see it that way. And there's something else going on. Now, whether it's she has somebody else in mind or something worse, I don't know, but I'm done with it. And I can't imagine. And I don't even live in Oakland. Imagine if you did live in Oakland. Jesus. All right, let's do some headlines. When we come back, I don't know, we'll lighten things up. I do want to touch even more on the Emmys. Also the Critics' Choice Award. I know that was over the weekend, I think it was.
Tim Sika was there.
Oh, damn. I wish I could have talked to him. But no, one of the winners was really, really cute. And I'll find the video while Kim does her news as well. Also, some sad news in my personal life that really made me contemplate something. So we'll talk about that. Shannon Doherty, from 90210. I know somebody was mentioning Brendan was on Kelly and Mark this morning. She's talking about, when she passes away. And I'm not going to get too heavy, but she talked about the people, I don't mean to giggle, that she does not want at her funeral. And I'm giggling at it. I'm like, well, at that point, you don't really have much of a say. So we'll talk about all of that and so much more. You guys, please, though, before we do that, click the thumbs up button, show your support, donate to the super chat. We really do appreciate everybody that comes in, like Doug and Steven, who each came in with a $5 donation to the super chat. And of course, the Patreon is up and running as well. But now let's take a look at some more headlines with the one and only Kim McAllister. I need your music.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Well, let's begin with Israel ending its phase of operations in northern Gaza. It will do the same soon, they say, for the southern part of the region. That, according to the Israeli defense minister, who urged his government to come to an agreement on a plan for the Gaza Strip after the war is over. This comes as Iran fired missiles at what it says were Israeli spy headquarters in northern Iraq. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says soil needs to be treated as a precious resource. He's speaking at the World Economics event in Switzerland. Blinken saying no availability of food is causing unprecedented migration flows being seen across the globe. He said Russia's war in Ukraine and attacks by Houthi rebels in the Red Sea have only made the food crisis worse. Here comes Jill Biden headed to California. Dr. Jill Biden will fly into San Francisco tonight to attend a fundraiser tomorrow morning for her husband's re-election campaign. She'll then head south to Los Angeles County for an event in Burbank tomorrow night before returning to the Bay Area Thursday afternoon. She's crisscrossing the state. It's where she'll make a stop in Sonoma County, and then she'll wrap up her 4-day trip in Ohio on Friday. So welcome Jill Biden to California and even to my county up here in Sonoma. Woohoo! There is another endorsement in California's Senate race. This one goes to Adam Schiff, the Los Angeles Times editorial board backing Congressman Adam Schiff. He led former President Trump's first impeachment trial and investigated efforts to overturn the 2020 election. The board described Schiff as a battle-tested, thoughtful leader, saying he is needed now more than ever, given that Trump could secure the GOP presidential nomination. Work is underway to remove a military tugboat that sank in Northern California. The USS Mazpeta went down 4 months ago with 1,600 gallons of petroleum products on board. Eesh. Not good. State agencies say it's to blame for an oil spill in the Delta. They'll confirm they won't confirm though whether there's a major threat to the environment. Crews were seen using a crane and pumps yesterday, but they will take all week to be raising that ship out of the water and hauling it away. In San Francisco, crews are working to clear debris too after a huge tree fell. At last check, they were still on the side of 19th Avenue, which has since reopened. It's where this tree came down yesterday right at Crossover Drive in Golden Gate Park, crushing 5 cars when it came down. At least 11 people, including kids, were rescued. 2 had minor injuries. Firefighters spent hours using chainsaws to chop up branches and remove that tree that came down. There's a traffic alert in San Jose. This one's for you, Nikki. Drivers along Highway 101. Crews will close some lanes from 13th in San Jose to Shoreline Boulevard and Mountain View.
I know.
They're doing some maintenance work. Yeah, it'll happen on both sides of the road between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. through Friday. Caltrans says this will affect lanes at the center divide and the right-hand shoulder. Cars will be moving slower while traveling in that area. So on 101 between 13th and San Jose and Shoreline Boulevard and Mountain View, do expect delays.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. That's a pretty busy stretch. I was sending that to my husband and be like, hey, don't take that. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't take that. Don't get caught up in that.
It's gonna be a mess.
So we now know who will be performing at the Grammys this year.
Okay.
And I have a picture for you of Dua Lipa. She will be performing at the Grammys. Here's Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa.
Yeah. She's not the only one though. Dua joins who else?
Isn't Billie Eilish going to be playing?
Dua Lipa, Billie Eilish, and Olivia Rodrigo, all performing at the 2024 Grammy Awards. The Recording Academy revealing today that 3 of today's biggest pop stars will be treating fans with performances of their hits on February 4th. The Recording Academy will announce more performers in the next few weeks. All 3 singers are being recognized by the Academy for releasing some of the biggest hits of 2023.
Yeah. And that's what I'll play it after in a little bit of the Critics' Choice Awards. And the best song, it's always so hard to decide. But the Grammys obviously all music. But when they do it during the Golden Globes and during the Emmys, it's an interesting thing to watch to see who wins. I love the Grammys though. I don't ever get that feeling that I'm too old to know all the music because I have young kids. So I kind of feel like I'm still hip, but who knows? I might not be.
Well, lastly, it is Broadway week. It kicks off today.
Oh.
Fans can buy 2-for-1 tickets to some of their favorite shows through February 4th. Meantime, a new musical inspired by the music of Huey Lewis and the News called The Heart of Rock and Roll is coming to the Great White Way, previewed March 29th at the James Earl Jones Theater. Opening night is April 22nd. But yeah, 2-for-1 tickets if you're a big fan of Broadway and headed to New York. This report is crowd-sponsored and funded by you.
It is.
TheNikkiMedoroShow.com is the website. The Patreon and PayPal links are there. Thank you for the super stickers and super chats here on YouTube. All the ways you fund the show and participate in it really mean a lot to us. So also, if you can take the moment to click the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and share parts of the show that you like, or share the whole show. Share the whole shebang. The whole tinsel crotch conversation, that was share-worthy. I'm just saying. I'm Kim McAllister. This is the Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim. All right, I was getting all my videos together. Now, I did not watch the Critics' Choice Award, but I did see this video that I thought was so cute. I'm going to play it now because you were just talking about the Grammys and best song and everything like that. Did you see this? And it's been making the rounds on social media, which I thought was so cute. And this is just the reaction to winning this award. Here we go.
I'm just Ken, Barbie.
So I'm just Ken. I know it's a little low. There's Ryan Gosling. He was like, I think a little shocked that he won.
I'm just Ken from Barbie. Our writers,
Mark Ronson.
And performer Ryan Gosling.
He's blown away by it. I liked that song.
He didn't even get up.
No, he didn't. He didn't go.
It was the song that won.
It was the song. So Mark Ronson won. I was surprised. I don't think that he wanted to give the award or whatever.
Yeah.
I just love I don't know. I loved that movie. I really did like Barbie. It's been getting a little bit of backlash especially America Ferrera and that whole speech. Some people have been saying recently that it's too on the surface. And it's like easy things to complain about being a woman and how you just can't win being a woman, right? Like the whole, like you have to be skinny, but you can't care about being skinny. You have to be beautiful, but you can't, all those sorts of things. You have to be a good mom, but a good worker. All of these contradictions were great. America Ferrera also won. And Ryan Gosling's, and this again is the Critics' Choice Award, not the Emmys. Ryan Gosling's face while she was giving this speech was really sweet.
Thank you to our Kens, Noah Baumbach, Tom Ackerley, David Heyman, and Ryan Gosling for all being man enough to support women's work. You are all brilliant, and you are more than enough.
More than connect. That's pretty funny. I don't know. I mean, I thought it was such a good. I love the fact that I watched it with my son before I watched it with my daughter, which was really cool. It was just. I'm glad that I'm glad that Barbie got a couple of more awards, especially from the Critics' Choice Award, which was really pretty cool. And then the Emmys last night, I couldn't find the one and I wanted to bring it, but maybe I'll find it while I'm talking. Christina Applegate, did you see the response? Now, if you don't know, even under a rock, Christina Applegate has MS. Okay. And she had to stop doing Dead to Me, which was a great series, because her body is betraying her at this point. So here she is. Now she comes out, I think she's with Anthony Anderson, to present an award. She's presenting an award. And I'm sorry. I think that she's so funny in what she says. So here we go.
Thank you so much. Oh my God. You're totally shaming me with disability by standing up. It's fine. Okay.
She can't stand well. You get it?
Body, not by Ozempic. Okay, let's go. Some of you may know me as Kelly Bundy from Married with Children. Thank you. We don't have to applaud every time I do something.
I love that she was saying that because doesn't it seem like it's true? It's like once we find out that somebody like, and again, the fact that she walks out there with the cane and is very, public with her MS struggle and living with it and those sorts of things. I totally respect it. But sometimes, and that's what I think the whole point was that she was making. Sometimes Hollywood is like, all right, already. You know what I mean? I just walked out on stage. I'm presenting an award. You don't have to clap every time I do something. It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, you're standing. It's like, screw you, kind of, right?
On the other hand, she's probably not going to do a lot more work, right?
Well, I mean, maybe not.
She's probably not going to win another Emmy in her lifetime. Maybe, but probably not. And so to show her a little love on what may be the last time she's able to stand up on that stage.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's true. Who's Selma Blair also has MS and she's in a new show. Like, I think she was just in a show. Let me make sure that I'm not lying to you. Because Selma Blair. She's
I like Selma Blair.
Because she's in remission. Selma Blair is in remission right now from multiple sclerosis. So again, it could happen for Christina Applegate. She could continue to work. Also, I understand giving her some love, but again, I think her point was, look, just because I'm standing, just because I'm talking, just because I'm here, let's not throw the confetti. Like, just treat me as if I'm normal because I am. You know what I mean? Oh, Al Anonymous. Gosh, I need to do a whole segment on Cat Williams. Have you guys do you know who Cat Williams is? The comedian? No. Okay. He's been making the rounds. He was on a podcast video thing, whatever, a TV show. And was dropping bombs on people, like about why he doesn't work. He was calling out Kevin Hart. I mean, it was an amazing interview. Al Anonymous' Cat Williams talked about applauding being given to comedians that don't deserve it. We see TV shows have applause now signs. It's all synthetic. I don't think that with Christina Applegate was synthetic.
No.
Mr. 54 says the voice is still gold in animated series, podcasts in her future. Absolutely.
Yeah, true.
Lori says there's all different kinds of MS and everybody's path living with MS is different. So I'm not saying that. She just
doesn't seem like she's doing well with it.
Well, I mean,
from what I've read, like she's very, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And if there's remission, that's a possibility, then maybe I'm wrong. Yeah.
Well, she told the LA Times she is considering a pivot to voiceover roles full time so she can continue making money. So that's good.
Yeah.
But she also says, I don't see myself struggling. Also, I gained 40 pounds because of inactivity and medications. I didn't look like myself. I didn't feel like myself. At some point, I was able to distance myself from my own ego and realize what a beautiful piece of television Dead to Me was. All the scenes I wasn't in were so much fun to see and experience for the very first time. And she obviously still needs to work. So I do applaud her continuing to work. And we'll go. I'm going to have to go a deep dive with the Cat Williams things. He just briefly was calling out like the roles that Kevin Hart took that Cat Williams shut down because either he found it degrading, racist, whatever. And so, Cat Williams, he's having like a glow up right now because of that interview. And I'm not even saying glow up because it's not as if he was down, but he's getting a lot of attention from that interview. So I'll get some of that stuff together and we'll talk about that. But speaking of actors and actresses, Shannon Doherty, she has cancer. And so it's really sad, actually.
I think it's late stage breast cancer that metastasized.
Right. It's metastasized. Did it get into her brain? I feel like it might have gotten into her brain, or maybe but anyway, she's planning her own funeral. Okay. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but we all have to do it. Sadly, the reason why this story kind of stuck out to me is one of my very close friends just lost her dad, which it doesn't matter that we're at that age where it's happening. Anytime that it happens, it's devastating. And we were talking and it's one of those things like, what do you want? What do you want? And she had said, my friend had said, she's like, oh, he wouldn't want a funeral. He wouldn't want people sitting around and kind of, wailing or crying. And I was actually able to get a couple giggles out of her. I was like, not me. I'm like, I want a 2-hour wait to get into the funeral home. You sit there. You talk about all the ways you love me. Those sorts of things. Just kind of trying to talk about it. But it's this idea of what do you want? So anyways, Shan Doherty is curating the guest list. Okay. First question. How much of a say do you think that you want on the people that can attend your funeral? And do you really, truly believe you have any control over that? Like if somebody was like, so for instance, if your husband, Kim, had said, I don't want X, Y, and Z at my funeral. And then the day of, God forbid, X, Y, and Z show up. Are you going to kick them out?
Well, is it a public funeral or friends and family only? Like, because I think you can keep it pretty private. You don't have to put it in the paper. You can just say, call people up and say, listen, Nikki, Kim croaked, come on Saturday, and just invite a very few.
Okay, so what if X, Y, and Z hear about it, right? Like the grapevine. Like,
why are they motivated to show up? I mean, why does someone who didn't like me want to come?
Maybe they did like you. Maybe you didn't like them. Maybe they're trying to make amends, Kim McAllister. Maybe they have been in love with you all this time and just wanted to stand over your casket and tell you.
Highly unlikely. No. Maybe it's a moment where if you're someone of note, not that I am, then it would be a place to be seen and be seen, right? Like, oh, you were the last time I saw you, you were at Kim's funeral or whatever. Like maybe it's an event of the season. I highly doubt that. That's so ridiculous to even say. But maybe people just want to show up because it's somewhere to be seen. I don't know.
Well, she says she admitted on Let's Be Clear with Shannon Doherty that she's horrible at funerals. She's like, I don't know if anybody's actually good at funerals, but I'm the girl who like literally sobs. I can't handle it. I am the same way. Anytime when I was a reporter and they would send me to these freaking memorials, I had to remove myself. I don't even know this person and I'm crying. Sitting in court cases where people give their victim statements. Oh my God, I'm done. Like I'd have to put my head down. I am not the person to do that. So I get what she's saying there.
Who's that lady crying in the back? I think she's that reporter from KGO. I don't know.
And literally, I don't know anything about the case. It's not even a case that I would be following. I show up day of, like, I'm like, oh, I'm covering this random court. And I feel I'm an empath in that way. But anyways, Doherty says she wants her own memorial service to be less somber and more of a raucous house party. But when it comes to invitees, she says less is more. She says there's a lot of people that I think would show up that I don't want there. I don't want them there because their reasons for showing up aren't necessarily the best reasons. Like they don't really like me and they have their reasons and it's good for them, but they don't actually like me enough to show up to my funeral or to be invited to my funeral. It's like, but they will because it's the politically correct thing to do and they don't want to look bad. So I kind of want to take the pressure off them and I want my funeral to be a love fest. I don't want people to be crying or for people to privately be like, thank God that bitch is dead now. I think, don't you feel like most people say, like my mom is this way. My parents want to be cremated anyway, so there wouldn't be a casket. But my mom's like, I don't want people sitting around crying.
Yeah.
I want it to be a party. I feel like, I don't know how many people really want what I was joking about. 2-hour-long wait, wailing, crying, veils. You know what I mean? I want you to go into a year of mourning type of thing. I don't want that. Who wants that? Why would anybody? I don't want people to celebrate. I don't want people to be like, yay, the bitch is dead, like Shannon Doherty was saying. But I wouldn't want necessarily people to just be so very devastated that they're wailing and crying and it's a really depressing type of thing.
I don't want anyone to go to any trouble. Like I don't want someone to have to hire a caterer or have a party afterward or set up a bar. Like don't go to any trouble. Just,
That's so cute. Not me. Go to the trouble. I'm dead now. But at least one more friggin' effort into my life. Can you please? Thank you.
No. Just let me go. Just,
There'll be a sign on Kim's casket. It's like, sorry to inconvenience you with dying. Like,
maybe my kids will spread my ashes on some beach in Maui and off we go. And that's it.
That'd be nice. Yeah. Flo says, my wife attended a funeral last fall. The deceased was a really cool dude. His friends stood at the doors, making darn sure his ex-wife did not enter the church. Wow. I mean, there are people, I'm thinking of specific people in my head right now. that I was really, really good friends with that are no longer my friend for whatever reason, right?
Mhm.
Would I want this specific person at my funeral? Part of me says, yeah, like go and feel bad for being an ass, right?
Well, they knew you in part of your life. Maybe they don't know you now today, but they knew you at a time in your life. So maybe they feel a need to have some closure and say farewell. And I'm maybe a toss and I'm sorry at your casket.
There was one of the I would say the only funeral that I went to, and this was right after I moved to Sacramento, so it had to be around 2006-ish, because I
Mhm.
remember I had to drive from Sacramento to this funeral, and it was the funeral of my first real crush. I went to like kindergarten through 8th grade. I think he actually started a little later than kindergarten.
Mhm.
And he died in college, or like he had passed away. I guess it wasn't college, and he was in an apartment. The story, and I'm not saying it's not true, but what we were told was he had an allergic reaction to some sort of medication that he was taking. I think nowadays people would think it was like fentanyl or something, but I really don't think that it was anything like that. I think he just had some sort of allergic reaction, really, really young. I cannot stress enough that I did not know this guy anymore, but I felt like I had to be there
Mhm.
because he was like, when I think of junior high, right? He was that guy. He was like,
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, not that I felt like that about him at all. And I'd seen him, in passing over the years, but nothing more. But I felt like I had to be there. And I remember being at his funeral, and again, bawling as if he was still in my life. Like I'm
Wow.
crying, like
Because you remember that person from a
crying.
specific time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I always wondered, if you're in a movie and like the ghost is sitting there at the funeral looking to see who
Yeah.
shows up, like he's like, what the hell is this chick doing at my funeral?
Mhm.
But I felt like, I just had to be there. Janice says, we had a service for my dad, but my mom told me she did not want a service.
Yeah.
It was hard telling people I wasn't doing a service, like I was doing a disservice to my mom by not doing
Well,
one.
mhm.
Janet, did you do anything though? Like that's my whole thing. Like
I
God
don't
forbid my husband dies first. I want to have a party
Yeah.
because I know he wants a party. Like
But
I'd have
if
to
her mom says
build
no
myself up.
service, that's no, she doesn't want anything. So you
But what
follow
if
the
you do
wishes,
something, don't you? It's like you have to do.
maybe personally and privately.
Yeah.
I take my moment to say goodbye, or I'm cleaning out her house and I have my goodbye moment, or whatever it may be. But that's between, the daughter and the
Yeah.
mother. That's not like, I'm gonna have a party against your wishes to do so.
Yeah. Stan, thank you so much for the $5 donation to the super chat. He says, we attend funerals for the living and family to show support for them. Very true. But then if you don't show up, people are like, what, you didn't care about the person, right? So
Mhm.
it's kind of this double-edged sword that sucks. Oh, Phineas, is Kim gonna have a Hawaiian funeral with tan and muscled surfer dudes?
Excellent idea, my friend.
Excellent idea. It goes in the
Yes.
will. It goes in the will. There you go. Needs to be done. Absolutely. Oh, Eric says my mom passed away in the middle of COVID.
I'm
So many
sorry,
people
Eric.
couldn't attend the service, so we
Yeah.
put up a live stream. Hundreds of people
That's
watched the
cool.
stream.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that your mom passed. Yeah. Anonymous says my dad's family that went no contact after the divorce for a decade set my grandma's funeral on my birthday.
Ooh.
I did not go. Sorry,
Yeah.
Anonymous. Yeah. I don't know what I want. I do know that I've gone back and forth, and we've had this conversation before about what to do with the body. Are you're obviously going to be cremated? You mentioned being
I
scattered
think
in
so.
Hawaii.
I don't like the idea of being I mean, I know I'm dead and the feelings are not there anymore, but I don't like the
Right.
idea of being confined in a box. I like the idea of being burned better. I know that's weird, but like at least my body's free.
Are you going to do anything with your husband? Like, are you going to wait? Like, if he goes first or you go, does he want to be cremated or
We
anything like
have
that?
this, he's very no nonsense about this. He's like, listen, I served in the Marines, which means I
Right.
get a free funeral. Take
Okay.
advantage of the free funeral and the free burial. So he says he'll do the military service.
So you're not going to be like together in the afterlife then?
No, because they won't bury me there.
That's kind of
Mm-mm.
crappy. I mean, that's kind of crappy for people that get to have that military, but I guess you can't
Yeah.
fit everybody and their spouses
You
there.
can't fit
So,
everyone and their spouses. You gotta just go with it.
yeah.
But I
Well,
don't believe in all that. Like, I don't believe that you are where your body lands. I don't
True.
believe that you are, you're down in the dirt underneath everything. And that doesn't feel good to me. I'd like
Right.
to feel more like your body, you've left it behind. So it doesn't matter what happens to it after that. As far as whether you're buried or cremated or whatever, that's all a moot point. What matters is that
Where your soul and energy go.
perhaps that somehow your spirit is still living, if that's the case, or maybe not. I don't know, but I would like to think that we'll be meeting up somewhere, at
Absolutely.
a different
Now,
spot.
energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It only changes form, as they
Thank you.
say. So
Yeah.
there you go. Vilma says, I believe funerals and wakes help with the grieving process.
Yeah.
Come cry your eyes out. It'll help in the
Mhm.
days ahead. Better to get it out than to harbor it inside. Yeah, I
They
agree.
say the funeral isn't for the dead person. They don't know the difference, that it's for the family members that are still.
I'll be there. You better show up. Oh, thank you, Maud, for our burial at sea fund.
Yeah,
Thank
perfect.
you. That
Yes.
works. That
Feed me to
absolutely
the
works.
fishes. That's good.
So I've gone back and forth, as I've shared before. So I used to want to be bronzed and placed in front of my parents' house. That was
Oh my
only when if
God.
I died at an early age. I wanted to be in my overalls. Like I had this whole thing when I was in my 20s. I'm not even kidding. I would tell my parents, I'm like, if I die, you bronze me and you put me, crisscross applesauce in front of the yard. That's how I wanted to be. Okay. Then I've switched. I want to be cremated.
Mhm.
And I want some of my ashes to be mixed with my husband's. So there's definitely going to be that. And then I want some of it to be pressed into jewelry, like a stone.
Like the necklace? Yeah.
Yeah, like a necklace. And then I want to be
The Nikki
given
necklace so I
to,
can just carry around with you?
yeah, so then I can haunt you in that form, right? I could speak to you through the jewelry. I mean, there has to be a scary element to my passing because I love horror movies. I will haunt somebody. Like that is going to be happening, and I will be cackling the whole entire time. Louise says, I believe in showing appreciation for people while they're around. So here you go. Appreciate it. Oh, thanks for the
Thank
$5
you.
donation.
Luis just came to our funeral and we're still alive. Thank you, Luis.
And that's the whole thing. That's what they always say. It's like, I don't want people to sit around for 2 hours with veils on, crying and carrying on, and saying things they should have told me when I was alive. Right? Like, don't tell me that you're sorry now that I'm dead.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that that you missed me or that you really are sorry or whatever you want to get off your chest when I'm dead. Say it to me when I'm alive.
Yeah. Vilma says the people that will be at my funeral will just be my family. I don't know many people, but I guess if people want to come again, come again. Yeah. I'd go to Vilma's funeral.
I'd go. I mean, if any of you guys pass away, hopefully somebody lets us know in the Medoro world. You know what I mean?
Asterisk, please don't die.
Well, obvious. Well, yes, asterisk. Also, double asterisk. We're all gonna die, right? So I don't know where I got it in my head, though, Kim, that I wanted to be bronze. But I'm telling you, if you knew me in my 20s, you have heard me say this. Like I was very vocal, very, very vocal about this being my wish. I was like, I want to be bronzed. I thought that was the coolest thing to do, and like literally my body in there, like they would take my body, and I would be like mummified inside this bronze thing. I don't even know if you could even logistically do that, but that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. Oh gosh, 2-person crypts going for $42,000 at Oak Hill Cemetery in San Jose. That's where my friend's dad was taken. I don't know if he's going to be buried there. That's where my grandmother is at Oak Hill. So we wave to her. I go, "Hi, Grandma," every time I drive by. But yeah, it's expensive. It's expensive, and we're running out of land. And not to be crass about it, but again, once you are buried in a cemetery, they're not supposed to double up, right? So I'm not trying to be crass here, but at some point you have gone into the earth, right? So now it's just a plot of land that now cannot be used again. Rightfully so, I would say, but how much land do we think that we really have that we're just going to give that we're just going to give to dead people? Phineas says Nikki's going to have a loop playing her saying tinsel crotch.
Tinsel crotch.
Yeah, there's all kinds of jokes, sending a text to everybody in the at the funeral, like it's dark in here, those sorts of things. Yeah. Oh, that a life-size one. Look great as an Academy Award or an Oscar. That'd be really, really funny. I don't know. I just think you have to have a humor about the whole entire thing. And there's so many different ways of I don't want to say disposing of what to do with your body, right? You can cremate it. You can obviously bury it. There's the whole tree thing. There's the jewelry thing. There's all sorts of things that people can do. But I would say I definitely want the party. I definitely want, if you want to make amends, fine. But I would rather you do it while I was alive. And as far as Shannon Doherty saying, there's some people that I don't want there because they don't really mean it. You have no control. You did. There's nothing you can do about it. John asks, is that actual metal bronze or is it bronze paint? Okay. No. My friend. Actual bronze. Like there's dipping and hardening and things like that. Trevor says, George Carlin said that when he died, he wanted to be blown up. I don't think he actually was. But you know who was blown out of a cannon? Does anybody know who was blown out of a cannon?
No.
Okay. Anybody? Come on. I want to give it. There has to be some cool people. Well, I don't know what the cost is, by the way, to be bronze. I'm assuming. It's expensive. I don't think
it's expensive to be cremated, and that's the cheapest option.
Exactly. Or John Watson came in first. Hunter S. Thompson. Do you know who Hunter S. Thompson is?
Yeah, he's an author.
Yeah, he's like the gonzo journalism guy. Mm-hmm. When he died, he got blown apparently out of a cannon. I could be wrong, but I think Johnny Depp was the one that lit the fuse or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Because Johnny Depp played him in the movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Well, they taking or have taken Gene Roddenberry's ashes to the moon or shot him into space or something.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of cool, right? That's really, really, really kind of cool. You have to think outside the box. I mean, come on. There we go. I don't think Knievel was blown out of a cannon. I'm almost positive it was Hunter S. Thompson. Yes. All right. Let's see. Kay says, I thought that too, but my grandmother just passed and is going to be interned with my grandfather at Arlington National Cemetery.
Wow. That's a big deal. Their grandfather must have been a high up because I didn't think they buried anybody else. You have to be some VIP kind of person to be buried at Arlington these days, right?
Well, maybe grandma is a big old VIP. Yeah. It does seem a little, I'm just going to say it seems cruel to not be able to, because you want to be buried and have all the military honors, that you have to be separated. And some people do really truly believe this, separated from your loved one in the afterlife. Frozen in carbonite. I'm sure that's expensive too. I would never want to do any of that freezing and then bring it back to life, that sort of thing. Human composting. I thought about that. Like if I mix myself with my husband, putting it in the soil, planting a tree, that sort of thing. I like that idea.
Sure. Well, they have those green cemeteries. I know there's one in Mill Valley where you don't get a casket. They just put you in a shroud.
Right.
And they bury you and they plant a tree on top of you and you're ashes to ashes, dust to dust, part of the food cycle again.
Yeah, exactly. Though until somebody puts a building over it, and then you have Poltergeist Part 8 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I watched way too many scary movies. Freeze me, bring me back in 100 years. Oh God, no! Let me die. Leonard Nimoy went to space. I didn't know that.
Yeah. See.
And John wants to be blasted into space so aliens can revive me millions of years from now. You really are curious, huh? I could not. I love life here, this life here on planet Earth. I want to see what's next because I believe in that. So I am totally fine in moving into the afterlife. All right. This is a very dark and fun conversation of how we all want to die, people. But before we go again, click the thumbs up button, show your support for the show. Even if you watch on replay. Oh, like I said,
Aquamation? What is that? Now I have to look that up, Eric.
How do you cremate somebody in the water? Do you just dump them off the boat? I mean,
maybe it's like extreme power washing a body, like pummeling it into nothingness,
or maybe just throw it into a piranha tank.
Oh,
I know. See, that's a horror movie scene right there.
I mean, if you're already dead, might as well be food for somebody.
Nobody cares. Exactly. Become fish poop. Super Chat is live. Let me give some more thank yous before we go. Maud came in with that $25 donation to our Burial, love it. Absolutely love it. Stan Pollock, $5 donation. Thank you. Vicky came in with $10. Thank you, Vicky, so very much.
Thank you.
And Doug with $5, Stephen with $5. You guys are so honestly generous. Even if you watch and replay, you could donate to the show and keep the lights on, as they say. And please sign up to be an official Medorable through our Patreon link. You could find it at theNikkiMedoroShow.com, theNikkiMedoroShow.com. So tomorrow, Chip Franklin is supposed to be joining us tomorrow, as he's going to be doing on Wednesdays. And then just to let you guys know, on Thursday, I know that a lot of you have written to me. We've been trying to follow the war in Gaza between obviously Hamas and the Israelis. I know that John Rothman is off and on Fridays and kind of takes an Israel point of view. I'm going to be bringing someone on Thursday to kind of take the Palestinian viewpoint. And so that's going to be a very interesting conversation. I believe it's going to be in the first hour on Thursday. So mark your calendars for that. And again, I love you all. Thank you so much for donating to the show. Share it with your friends, and we'll talk tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. Miss Brown, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.